All right, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, he's got the mask on already. You sly dog. How's everybody doing? I want to welcome y'all to another episode of the Uneeda Horror Podcast. And I'm already going to start this episode off with showing this. I got the coolest Halloween 3 shirt I've ever seen. It's a stack of TVs, and it's got the pumpkin on it, and then it's
Oh
got
yeah,
the silver shamrock on it, and then the TV down here is in the beginning of the credits. It's
yeah.
really, yeah, I got it from
Where'd you
Terror
get that?
Threads.
Oh, Terror. Okay, that's sick.
They threw dude, I bought this and I got a Halloween 2 shirt that they had, and they threw in I didn't order it, they just threw in another shirt. They gave me a Sorority House Massacre shirt. It's so cool. So, they're always in my good
Nice.
graces. They're a great company.
Yeah, I've got a really scary shirt too. It's all three Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
It's Spider-Man. It's terrifying. I felt it'd be fitting. I was gonna wear the Ghostface shirt, but I wore that last night, so that's being washed.
Yeah.
Um, you know, but yeah,
There so everybody, I don't know how long this episode's gonna be. It may not be one of our longest ones, but we are just here to talk about Scream or Five Cream. If you I recommend watching the movie if you're going to listen to this podcast. It's Sunday, so that means everybody probably mostly has seen it by now, and I'll make this episode drop later in the evening just in case, but I don't really know where to start. But Nick, I'm going to let you start it. Whatever you
uh,
want to say. You want to talk about your theater experience, you want to talk about expectations and in the
theater
moment.
experience. Yeah, theater experience was good, guys. Again, as Christian said, I just don't want to get yelled at, me personally, from you guys either. Spoilers ahead. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want to be spoiled, come back later.
Yeah.
So theater experience was good, man. Not a lot of rowdiness. There was before the movie started because there was a lot of teenagers, and I was like, this better not be what I think it's going to be, and it wasn't. So that was good. Expectations for the movie I had going in: an OG was going to die. And unfortunately, the track on the score, Sacrifice, spoiled that to me last week because you hear like Dewey's theme at the end of it. So I found out it was Dewey before I even saw the movie. But, I knew an OG was going to die. I was hoping for, the meta on the nose comedy. I was hoping for some bloody kills because one of the biggest complaints people have with these movies is the kills aren't inventive enough, or they're not as in your face as they should be or could be. Um, I'll just say for me, I really liked it. Like I would say, I would say I loved it. I had a really good time with the movie. I think that the girl in the beginning, Jenna Ortega, I think she's one of the better actors in this film. I thought she did a great job. Unpopular opinion, I don't really care for the new lead they're trying to sell us on, Sam. I guess maybe that's a little harsh. I liked her in the third act. The first two acts, I felt like I don't know, maybe the acting wasn't up to par. I don't know what it was, but she came around, at the end. The killer reveal. One of them I saw coming a mile away. I mean, a mile away. The chick. I mean, I knew within 5 minutes of seeing her, she's one of the killers. Like I knew it. The boyfriend I didn't see coming, and I see a lot of people recently saying like, "Oh, I saw that coming," and I'm like, "Nah, they got me with making it seem like he was just this kind of like dopey, ignorant when it comes to horror movies guy." I was like, "Nah, this guy's a cool guy," and he was one of the best parts of the movie. Like I loved him. He was
He was
hilarious.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of threw me for a loop. I loved the kills. I thought the kills, although they're not that inventive when it comes to doing anything aside from killing with a knife, they're mean, man. Sheriff Hicks gets it bad, and her son. That is not CG, by the way, for anybody. That knife through the neck, that was practical effects, and that was awesome. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, overall, it's better than 3. It's better than 4. I still don't think I could say it's better than 2, but it's one of those movies that I walked away going, I had such a good time with that. I could see this growing on me more, especially upon a rewatch. Now knowing everything, you can look at it from a different lens. I don't have to sit there and wonder the who done it anymore. I can go, okay. My wife said she knew. She was like, "Oh, I knew he was too." And I'm like, "How?" She's like, "Well, when they're in the hospital room, when they all first like get there for the chick in the hospital, I guess the boyfriend and the Amber chick, like gave each other a look." She was like, "You didn't notice they gave each other a look?" I was like, "No." She's like, "Yeah." In that moment, I was like, "Oh, it's him." Um, yeah, man. I mean, there's not really much to say. I want to say the tribute at the end in the old font from the very first Scream for Wes, I thought was awesome. I actually clapped for that. The whole zoom out of the Mocker house like they did from the end of the first movie was really cool. And the fact that they literally it's so cool how that character died of Wes, and they literally threw a party like to memorialize him just so they could have that for Wes thing in the
Yeah.
kitchen, and it was really on the nose in a good way. It was really cool because it's a celebration of Wes Craven, obviously, guys. So I just I had a really good time with it, man. It had no business being as good as it was for the fifth movie in a slasher franchise that hasn't been around in 11 years.
Right.
Without its director too, and without Kevin Williamson. So, yeah, it was really good. It was really good, and I think the general sentiment among Scream fans, people that like the previous movies, is yeah, that was pretty damn good. Like, not much you can really, if you're a fan of Scream, you're gonna like the movie. You're gonna like it. I laughed out loud at one part. And it was like, an ugly laugh where you just like can't help it. And you just like, you just laugh out loud in the middle of a crowded theater when Dewey says, well, maybe you're the killer because that cut deep. I mean, when
Oh
that,
yeah.
that shit killed me.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then Dewey's death was, even though I knew it was coming, it was brutal and it hurt. That
It
shit hurt.
sucked, right?
Yeah. Watching
Yeah.
that, it really hurt because man, he's gotten away from it so many times. You knew it had to eventually happen. And it was even sadder that as he's dying, you see Gail is trying to call him. And oh man, it was really sad. But I loved when he's like, not today. And the killer's like, yes, today. And then, like, right after takes the knife out of him, Ghostface is like, it's an honor. Um, I thought that was really cool. I mean, there's so much I could go into, but Christian, your thoughts, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what you didn't cover that I could mention. I would reiterate that the kills were awesome. The just the brutality, I thought was fantastic. I loved it just as much as I loved the brutality in Halloween Kills, and it makes me wonder if this movie comes out, will there be I guess an extended cut if the kills were even gorier? I don't know if they were or not. I would love it if that's the case. When the movie started, I was just like, "Okay, this seems okay," but I wasn't the opening scene, I didn't think it was bad, but I just thought, "This just seems too regular. Is this gonna be the same old thing again?" I thought the movie got better and better as it kept going. Uh, I think the 3rd act I think I said in my review, it wasn't underwhelming, but it also wasn't, uh over impressive or anything. I just thought it was good, but, I loved the characters in this movie a lot. I liked the boyfriend, he was really funny. One thing that I really liked was I felt that they made Dewey finally act his age,
Yes.
and he wasn't like the doofus kinda guy. I just thought when we got introduced to him in the movie, I was like, I really like the way he is presented in this film. He's a little bit of a drunkard, but he's not a full-blown alcoholic. He's not tripping on himself. He's not stuttering his words, but he's a little down on his luck. You could tell life isn't as good as it was when he was with Gail. But like, I love the way he was portrayed. He acted his age, and I love that. But he still had a sense of humor. I just felt like he sunk right into that role so good. And even Nev, I'll give Nev Campbell this. I call her no personality Nev, but this was probably my favorite movie besides the original that she's done. I liked just how when she's answering the phone, she does seem excited to be talking to him on the phone, and she's pushing her baby in the stroller or whatever, and the line, "I'm Sidney fucking Prescott. Of course I've got a gun." I thought that was good. I liked it so much. I thought she was great in this movie. Even her little back and forth with Gale when they're trying to tell the main character, "You don't realize this shit's going down. You need our help," and she's really not wanting to have any of it. Nev was making jokes with Gale, and I was like, "This is great," and I can sense a personality around this character, which that's probably just me, but I didn't like her in 4, I hated her in 3, but then again, it's not really her fault, I guess, I just didn't like 3 at all, quite frankly. I liked her in 2, but, uh I loved Nev Campbell in this movie and Gale Weathers. I thought she was good too. I like that they didn't make either one of them a bad guy in the divorce. They just got divorced, you know? I thought that, well, okay, thankfully they didn't make one person the bad guy, you know? I thought that was good.
Yeah, but it
Um,
hurt more with that, with Dewey's arc, because you find out that it was because he just couldn't be away from Woodsboro, and he just left one night, left New York, and you could tell they both still love each other, and like them coming together, you thought they thought they were going to rekindle their relationship. Yeah,
Yeah, and that was a good touch by the guys who wrote this movie and made this movie. They did such a good job. This movie was so it needed that extra element that I needed something new, and that Billy Loomis Pet Cemetery thing, I loved it. I thought, and it also made me wonder, is this girl the killer?
yeah,
Because she's seeing a dead guy. I
and
wonder, was that CG was that de-aging on him, or does he just still look that damn good?
it was both. It was makeup and de-aging. So the idea was to do primarily makeup and really just de-age, I believe, the features around his mouth and his
S
eyes and
Smoothing him
whatnot.
out a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah. So it was makeup and it was de-aging, but Skeet he physically filmed those scenes. He was on set in those moments. And I thought that was cool too. I really did. And the funny thing is, we were told by somebody, that we got Christian and I got a heads up a little bit ago about some things that were going to be in this movie. And Christian and I both thought when we heard about Skeet Ulrich, we were like, how? Like what? How's this going to work? Like, there's no way Billy's not dead. Like, he is absolutely dead. So the way they did that was cool. I agree with that. But yeah, that was a nice touch. I do think too, the only negative I really had, aside from feeling like the new main Samantha she didn't really catch on till the third act. I wanted more Nev. I really did, because I thought the inclusion of her in this movie, it didn't feel forced. I've heard some people say it felt forced and shoehorned. I
I
didn't think
t
so at all.
totally disagree, but with what
Yeah.
you're saying, you wanted more of her, I think that they used her the perfect amount then, because you liked it. You
Yeah.
liked what you saw, and I think the same thing with all of them. I loved Dewey the most in this movie because of how they portrayed him, just his age, and he was just so natural, and so I was so sad that he died. I was thinking, "No, take the other 2, don't take Dewey,"
Yeah,
'cause
I
he
heard
he was
I heard
so
that in your
good.
review. I was like, "No, don't tell them to take Sydney."
Yeah,
Gail
they
Gale
gotta
would have
take
been the one I
Miguel.
would have been cool with. I would have
Yeah,
been cool with Gale. But I knew it was going to be Dewey. And dude, it sucked. But this was the first movie in 5 movies where I think they did it on purpose, knowing he was going to die in this movie. The writers were like, we're going to finally let the world see Dewey as the heroic badass he always has been. We're not
right.
going to make him seem goofy and dumb. And to anyone that thinks that, Sydney and Gale were shoehorned in, why wouldn't Sydney come back to Woodsboro when Dewey dies? You know what I mean? Of course she's going to come back. Like, she's known him since high school. I mean, when she's talking to him on the phone, she says, I've got a gun. I'm far away. I'm never going back. I'm not going to Woodsboro. So like, leave me out of this. But then when Dewey dies, she feels obligated. Like, I have
Yeah.
to go now.
Oh, I would argue that it was probably the best written way to bring them back with that. I couldn't disagree with that kind of sentiment anymore. This film felt so much more natural to me. I don't wanna bring up Halloween in a bad light, but so much more natural to me with what they did than what Halloween 2018 did. Granted, this movie's kinda poking fun at
Yes.
Halloween. That was one of my favorite things is that they poked fun at Halloween about
Yeah,
it being a
when she
requel.
was when she was mentioning requels and reboots and remakes, she's naming off movies, and I said she's gonna say
She's gonna
Halloween.
say Halloween.
And she said it, and I was like, yeah, I mean, hey, I will say too, to that point, Christian, I'm not afraid to admit this. This movie is far better than Halloween 2018 or Halloween Kills could ever dream to be. I
I
mean,
would agree
I
with
just
that.
I had said over the past year this was my most anticipated horror movie because there's just an aura about it that I just felt like this thing's going to be good. I mean, it's going to be good. And yeah, I mean, I walked out of the theater with this. Like, I turned to my wife as soon as the credits started. I was like, I love that. And like when Halloween Kills ended, I remember I turned to my brother and I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. It was just a different reaction.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, this movie had an identity. It was, to me, it felt it very well could become my number 2. I would still put the original at number 1, easy, but, like, this one could easily become number 2. It depends, because now with Scream, when you watch them for the first time, you can never watch it for the first time again.
No.
You can't, because once you know who the killers are, blah, 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 it's a different experience. So it'll be interesting to see. Another character I actually really like too, I forget her name, you'll probably remember her character name, was, the blonde-haired woman who's becomes the sheriff with
Marley
the kid
Shelton. Yeah.
Wes.
Yep. Judy Hicks.
Again, they ditched the goofy ridiculousness that she was in
She
part
still had the
4.
goofy walk. She
She
still
did
had
have
the
the walk,
goofy.
but, like,
Yeah.
she was wholesome, and she was, like, telling her son, "Go shower up, I'm going to get dinner." I just loved her. And then she, when she finds out her son's in trouble, like,
Yeah.
she
Can we
goes into
talk about that
fucking
sequence?
yeah.
That was genuinely suspenseful. I mean, I
Yes.
was sitting in the theater like, oh my God. Like, I knew one of them was going to die or Ghostface was messing with her just to get her there. And I'm like, dude, what the hell is about to happen? And first of all, broad daylight too. Like, she's going up to the house. You're expecting her to go in and find her son dead. And like,
Right.
Ghostface just pops out and just
Right
murders
then
her
and
on the
there.
sidewalk. And it's mean too. And then they had this long, drawn out sequence of Wes, the character played by Dylan Minnette, who I actually really liked. I like him as an actor, and I hated to see him be one of the first to go. But they had this drawn out scene where it's like, freezer door, music cue, done, and nothing's there. And it's like, pantry door, done,
Yeah.
nothing's there.
Brilliant.
And you're like, they did it. It was so funny too, because the filmmakers knew what they were doing. They're like, we're going to piss you guys off to the point where you're like waiting for it. And then when it finally happens, you're not going to expect it. And that's kind of what happened too. That was one of the most effective sequences in this entire movie.
I agree.
That was so great.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm thinking back on it now, how good that was. That probably was my favorite sequence. I forgot who it was that got killed. Was it the mom? One of them, they just stabbed repeatedly. I mean, just pow, 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 right in the chest. I forgot
Yeah,
if it
that's
was the
his
mom.
mom. His mom on the
Yeah.
sidewalk.
Oh,
Yeah, just
Jesus Christ.
yep.
But
I
it
mean,
was effective, man.
some of these kills seemed really personal too. Like the only kill that's quick, I think, in this movie is the character of Kyle Gallner, who gets like 2 scenes, and then you get Red Right Hand playing from his car, which, throwback to the original Scream, and then Ghostface just right in the neck. Oh, he's dead. Like, that was the only kill that was like quick and seemed relatively painless. Every other kill was pretty drawn out, pretty freaking brutal. Like, they were mean. I mean, they were mean. There's a shot in this movie that I knew what I was getting 10 minutes into this movie, when Tara is on the ground trying to crawl away from Ghostface in the opening, and you get the shot of Ghostface crouched and then just standing up and like turning his head, and like the camera, he's lumbering over her, and the music, it was so ominous. It was like, yeah, Ghostface is not messing around. Like in this movie, this is going to be mean, and I loved that. I mean, the tone of this movie, it struck the right tone that you needed, like the first one had. You had Richie, the boyfriend, Sam's boyfriend, who obviously ends up being one of the killers, but he's very Stu Macher like, in the sense that he's really goofy, he's really funny, he's really likable, he's like ignorant in ways, and then when he flips the switch and is like, and you find out he's a killer, he's sadistic. Like, he's like Stu, he's like, he loves it. He loves that he's doing this. He feels on top of the world, and
Damn.
has such a fun time with it, just like Stu did. And then, but this movie did what the 3 and 4 couldn't do. And I love 4. I really enjoy 4, but I don't love it, but I enjoy it a lot. But those two movies they struggled with the comedic tone and the serious tone, and really trying to get you invested in high stakes. And
Yeah.
this movie did that. You felt the stakes. Like there's funny moments here and there, and they'll make you laugh. But man, the tone they nail the tone. They really
Dude,
do.
you're right. Like, when you say that, I really do think that this one got almost identical to the tone of the first movie. Because, dude, when I knew the shit was hitting the fan, I wasn't laughing. But, like, when I was meant to laugh, like, I got the humor was great. When Dewey was texting Gail, and after he says, "Don't come to town, Ghostface is back. Hope you're doing well." Like, I was like, "You stupid fucker." But then, dude,
Smiley face. He
yeah,
sends a smiley
dude,
face.
that movie did get me on 2 emotional wavelengths like the first one did. I mean, you're right. I mean, the more I think about this movie, the more I think it's that good. I and I'm listening to some of the complaints people have. Some people said they didn't like the new characters, which, I mean, that's subjective, and you really can't. Well, I'm not going to try to argue if somebody likes a character or not, but a lot of people hated the reveal. Again, you really
Gonna
can.
happen in every Scream movie. There's gonna be people that
I
don't
can't
like it.
recall. I can't recall besides the first movie liking the reveal in any of them that much.
Um,
Honestly,
Believe it or not, I think one of the most effective reveals in this entire franchise is Scream 3, because I did not see Roman being the guy at all. And I did not see the whole long lost brother storyline. And I thought that was genuinely surprising when I first saw it, especially because they make it look like Roman died in the basement of that mansion. So you're like, well, it can't be this guy. And when he's revealed, that was surprising. But yeah, there hasn't been a single killer reveal aside from that one where I was like, oh damn, until this one. And that was with Richie, the boyfriend. That one I was like, oh damn.
I thought it was either the chick who it was, or it was the black girl who was really into
Yes.
horror, and it's like, 'cause
Mm-hmm.
I liked her. She was a funny character too. I
What'd
thought
you
it was
think?
probably her, but I was like, it's either her or the other girl.
What'd you think about the scene of Stab being recreated on the same couch?
That was probably my favorite part of that whole end sequence. I thought the end sequence was good, not amazing, not jaw-dropping, just good. I didn't
Yeah.
think it dropped off. I think the best part of the movie is the heart. The middle part of the movie is the best. I think that's the 10 out of 10, and then the beginning and the middle are 6.5, 7 out of 10s, maybe 8 out of 10s, just depends on revisits, but I like the ending. I like them being in Stu's house again. Uh, I liked, one of my favorite parts was when the one girl goes downstairs to get the beer, and the other one followed her, and she's like, "What are you doing down here? You're not supposed to come to," like, they're riffing on everything from the first movie and stuff, and, it was good. I thought the finale was good, and, uh I thought, the boyfriend came into his own great when he gets revealed and he has to be nutty. I believed it. I believed it, but I believed who he was in the beginning too, so,
Yeah.
yeah, he was kinda like Stu.
Did you get any vibes like I did from the ending with Samantha killing her boyfriend? And did you get vibes from that at all? Like they might be hinting at something moving forward with her, that she has that Billy Loomis side to her, and she showed it in that moment because she stabbed the shit out of him. I mean, that was brutal. And you kind of as you're watching it, you're kind of like, man, if she snaps, she would be a tough ghost face to beat, because she's got that in her.
And it gives him I do think so, and I was thinking about this today. I was like, if they ever did another one after this, what if they made a movie where the audience is behind Ghostface as the main character, and it's all about not getting caught, and she is that person, to do something totally different like that, and it's her trying to not get found out, but I don't know if they would do that, but, um
How do you feel about the twist on them trying to give us a different side of Billy Loomis? Like he's like an
Oh, I
anti-hero.
adored it, because people love him anyway, so,
Yeah.
I think I just loved it. I absolutely loved I just call it the Pet Cemetery thing because that's what
Yeah,
it
well,
kind of
I,
was.
I just mean in the sense of they were showing him in a different light, like he
Yeah,
actually
he
could
was
have been a
he
decent
was her
person.
angel.
Yeah,
He was her angel. He was helping her figure out what's going on. And
yeah,
it's kind of like, when cops went to Ted Bundy to try to figure out who Gary Ridgway was, the Green River Killer. They were
yeah,
asking him, "How do we catch this guy?" And Ted was telling him,
yeah,
"You got to leave that body out in the woods, leave it a few days because he's going to go back to it." That's how they caught the bastard.
yep.
So it's like that's kind of the same thing. I thought that was so cool. And it was different. Thank you. Something different. Nothing too crazy, but a new element like that. I was smiling from ear to ear when that part, because I was like, okay, great. They're not making him just alive. Because I was thinking, Matthew Lillard was doing videos for the longest time talking about this movie, and he's like, I'll drop a TV on my head right now and show you guys it won't kill me. I know I'm not dead. So I'm thinking he's like letting everybody know I might be in this film. But no, it wasn't. But I loved that. I absolutely loved that. And
I
we got
think
to mention the Jamie Kennedy the shrine for Jamie Kennedy.
yes, yes,
I was happy I got my Jamie Kennedy. I was just like, yes. It
yep,
wasn't enough, but it was something. And I was like, thank God
yeah.
Jamie's in this movie. I hope they
Oh,
paid him just for his likeness to be used in the
yeah,
movie.
I laughed when I saw that too when they showed the shrine. I was like, oh, that's great. That's one thing that I want to say to anybody that maybe missed some Easter eggs or just has some general like wondering where they could go next. There's a very real possibility that Stu Macher is going to be brought back soon enough. I mean, I think, and go ahead and rewatch it again. I'm going to rewatch it again. They made a specific point to never mention Stu dying. Whenever they mentioned Stu Macher, they didn't say he was dead. They
You're
never said
right.
he was dead, first of all. Second of all, we got an Easter egg in the movie when they're showing that, Stab 8 review from Dead Meat. Over to the right on one of the suggested videos, it says interview with Woodsboro survivor Kirby Reed. And it's Hayden Panettiere, or however you say her name. It's like her picture.
Yeah.
She
People
is
caught on to
alive.
that pretty quick. I never caught on to
Yes.
that until people were telling me. I was like, damn it, that was yeah, yeah. Because I was
So
just like, oh my God, that's dead meat.
yeah, she will be back. They would not put that in here if they were not going to try to get her back. I fully expect her to come back in the next movie. But yeah, for me, it's I'm really starting. I was worried. I was like, I really want them to do the Stu thing, but I don't think they will. But the whole time I'm watching this movie, I even said something to my wife. I'm like, whenever they talk about Stu, they're being very vague here. Like they're being very vague. There's no finality to it. So I'm kind of like wondering, like, dude, if they could bring him back, I mean, I think that could be that would be killer. But yeah, man, there was just a lot good about this movie. I liked the score too. And I loved the cinematography. I mean, back to the way the movies looked, it really did feel like a Wes Craven Scream movie. Like it
Yeah.
really did. It had that feel. Scream 4 cinematography was just awful, just god awful. And
Yeah.
I rewatched it before I watched this one the night before. And I'm like, I like some of this movie. I like some of these parts, but God, this is hard to watch at times just visually because the
It's
cinematography.
yeah, it's so sharp. And I meant to
Yeah.
mention that. I was like, man, I mean, I was watching the film. I was like, obviously, I don't think this was shot on film, but like it looks very natural. I'm sure it's going to be a good look in 4K too when that comes out.
The
It just,
Steelbook is already available for pre-order
yeah,
April 5th.
yeah. It looked very, it's a few days for my birthday too. So that'd be a great present. Um, that the movie looked great too, and I did think the music was good. I don't think it was the guy who did the original movies, but
No,
who cares?
Brian Tyler did the score for this, but he incorporated Marco Beltrami's score at different points, like your typical Scream score. You got moments of that. You got
Right?
Sydney's little theme, you got Dewey's theme, you got the chase theme, all that kind of stuff. So it was incorporated in it.
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. When I got home leaving the theater and I got done reviewing the movie and stuff, and I was talking to some of my friends, and you hadn't seen the movie just yet, but like I was thinking to myself, was this too good to be true, or am I telling myself I like this movie, or? And I'm talking to my friends, and they're like, "Holy crap!" And I'm like, "Dude, they did it." I remember I say this every now and again. I was like, we always say, "Oh, here's another sequel, this, that." There's always that chance it's gonna be good. And I'm over the moon that this movie kicked so much ass. I loved it. I can't believe it. I
It's
really can't believe it.
me, and it's doing great at the box office. And that's awesome for this franchise. It was announced by some insiders yesterday that Paramount is already beginning to develop the next movie.
Of course they are.
But
That's
well,
Paramount for you.
I know, but here's my thing. If they bring this creative team back, these directors, these writers, sign me up. I'll go into it with no worries whatsoever because they showed me with this movie and with Ready or Not, their movie before this. I love both these
And
movies. I mean,
VHS. They did VHS,
yes,
and that's one of my favorite found footage movies.
I'm just saying, like, yeah, if you want to do another Scream movie, I'll be there opening night,
Yeah,
man.
let them
Like,
have
sign
it.
me up. Yeah, it's there was one thing people mentioned too that I've been hearing is like people are like me. Oh, I wanted a little more Sydney. Like I think since they knew they were going to kill Dewey, they gave him more screen time so he had a proper send off. I think they didn't do that with Sydney and Gale because if they're going to do another one, which it seems they will, they're going to be incorporated somehow. And I will say this, they're going to die sooner rather than later. It's just going to happen. This movie made a point to say these legacy characters can't stay around forever. Um, so I feel like maybe they did hold back a little bit with them to get us introduced to a new series of main characters, and then another movie. They'll kind of they'll step more into the spotlight again, and maybe not steal the limelight, but step into it. But regardless, man, it was so good. There were some one-liners in this movie that I just thought were awesome. One of my favorite lines in this movie is when it's really sad. Gail's talking about like you killed my best friend. And she says, yeah, and he died like a pussy too. And I was like,
Oh
oh,
God.
oh, and that pissed Gail off. And that same sequence when she's like, this is supposed to be a passing of the torch. And she's like choking Sydney out. And like later when they catch her on fire, Sydney's like, enjoy that torch. I mean, there were some
Yeah, she
lines
was
that I was
great.
like,
Sydney,
yeah,
Nev did it for me this time. But again, I go back to the people that are saying, I wanted more Nev and stuff like that's a good thing. That means that the writers in the movie did a good job because you want more, you crave more. This movie is to me when I think about it now, I was listening to Adam Green, the guy who created the Hatchet series.
yeah.
When he wrote Hatchet, he started with a plan, with more than one movie in mind, because he says when I created this, I've watched a lot of my favorite slasher series not have a plan, and that's why sequels seem to just kind of dissipate quick, and the fans are just like, oh, now they're just reaching. When I watch this movie and think about it now, I feel like they wrote this movie with a plan in place already. It feels like that. I wouldn't be
Tyler
surprised.
Tyler Gillette and Matt Bettinelli Open have both said that they came into this hoping to make more than one, but they
Right.
have to see how this goes. Well, now that it's critically and commercially successful, they're going to get the opportunity to make their trilogy. And I think that that's what they have planned is we have this 3-movie, because it's always a trilogy. Like we know that when you go into a franchise like this and you want to do more than one, you probably have a trilogy mapped out. And it seems like with how this is being received, they're going to get the opportunity from Paramount to, have their trilogy be seen to, its fullest potential. And I'm cool with that because I felt that way too. But the beauty of that, Christian, I walked away from this movie and I said, there's definitely more they can do here. You can feel that. But at the end of it, though, you didn't feel like, oh, come on, like what's next? Like, oh, you left me hanging there. No, but
No,
there was
yeah.
finality, but it was also this sense of there is so many places this could go. And that
So,
is great writing. Like,
so we'll get Scream kills and Scream
yeah,
ends.
that's the only thing I'm wondering is what are you going to title them?
If
Because
they troll Halloween like that, I will get Scream tattooed on me. I will rip down all these Halloween posters and I will fill this room with Scream posters because that is the biggest troll ever. Of course, they're not going to do that. But then again,
yeah,
I say that, but they trolled Halloween. It was a light troll. They weren't saying the movie was bad, but they were joking about the trend that's happening now with Leprechaun Returns, Halloween 2018. These movies retconning and going straight from part 1 to this one. And I also really quick, I loved the girl saying it's elevated horror. Like,
Oh
oh
my
god, I
god.
hate that term so much. What does that
Yes. Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
when they were poking fun at all that, I was like, whoever wrote this movie, I just want to give them a toast and buy
Yeah.
them a beer, you know.
Yeah.
They
You know,
get it.
people were worried about Kevin Williamson not being involved, and I was just like, nah, I didn't worry. I really didn't. I got a vibe from this movie. It pains me, and it doesn't pain me to say this. This shows me what could have been with Halloween's new trilogy. And I feel like part of that is because of Blumhouse. Blumhouse has a formula. And while there's things that work in their new set of movies so far, there's more in this movie that works than doesn't work. And I just, I love the Halloween movies, but dude, Scream shits on Halloween Kills and Halloween 2018. It shits on it. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not even going to hold back.
I think there's a level of the movie where it gets good to the point to where it's you can't pretend it's not. And I'm not saying this movie is a masterpiece, but dude, this movie, in my opinion, kicks half of those sequels' ass. I mean, just obliterates them. It's not even close. I mean, I could never watch 3 or 4 again and be fine with 1, 2, and this one. I mean, I seriously could. I could probably be fine with 1 and this one. It was so good, I just loved it, and
It,
I
wa-
I
it,
I had no reason to wanna be so excited and love a Scream movie. I'm not a massive fan. I like the first one. I've said this a bunch, but I'm a Scream fan now. I mean, I really am a Scream. This is like the Scream I'm identifying with.
well, you got to get a ghost face tattoo now. I mean,
I
that's
mean,
just
seriously, watch me.
par
I'll
for the
jinx
course.
it though, but
Yeah. Well,
I'm ex
look, I am very excited that you and Christian and I are now 2 for 2 on the most recent returns of horror franchises. Halloween Kills, we both walked away like, you know what? That was a
step in
fun
the right
time.
direction,
Yeah.
more fun. Yeah,
Yep. And then Scream, I was worried you weren't going to like it. And Christian gave me his, spoiler free thoughts. And then I went and saw it the next night, and we both talked about it and agreed with pretty much everything. And it was just like, it's cool because we do this show for you guys. And when we, like, yes, having discourse is awesome, but we want these properties to succeed. So when they do succeed and they land on that same level with us, like, it's just awesome to be able to talk about it and be like, yes, dude, I fucking love that too. Like, that kicked ass. So I was so excited for what, I mean, kudos to Paramount. I can't lie that Paramount Spyglass, they got the perfect team together for this movie, and they hit a home run. I mean, they
yeah,
did. It is better than, look at the 5th movie in all these franchises and tell me their 5th movie is better than this one. I love Halloween 5. This movie it just dumps on it. I have a soft spot for Friday 5. This movie dumps on it. Like, go down the list. This is way better than a 5th movie in a slasher franchise deserves to be. So, I mean, kudos to them. They kicked
yeah.
ass.
Yeah, just brilliant. And it's like this movie, the more I think about it, the more I wanna see it again. I
Yeah.
just wanna I think more highly of it as the time is going by.
I'm gonna catch it again on a matinee, probably by myself. Because I took my wife. That's why I waited till Friday instead of Thursday, because she wanted to see it. So I said, okay, I'll wait for you. But I'm definitely gonna see it again because it's just I
It was
can't.
fun. It was
Yes.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's gonna be cool to watch it from the perspective of, now I don't have to question everything. I can watch it knowing what's coming and look at the peripheral stuff. Look at things in
Yeah.
the background. Look at stuff you didn't notice. Like, very excited for that.
Yeah.
So the movie kicked ass. I mean, if you're, I think my rating is a little bit higher than Christian's. On Letterboxd, I saw Christian gave it 3.5 stars. I like this movie so much. Oh man, I'm flirting with a 4.5. I mean, we'll say a 4. I mean, we'll say a 4 right now, but I'm flirting with a 4.5. I mean, I am on second watch. I might
Yeah.
go up and be like, yeah, this is a 4.5. But
I very well
yeah,
could too. I very well could too. Yeah, man. What a movie. Well, we could wrap it up here. It's not gonna be a
yeah,
very long one. But yeah, man, Scream, 5 Cream, whatever you wanna call
yes.
it. Uh, I hope
Can't,
just let us know your thoughts down below on the movie and, what you think could happen next.
are you guys
'Cause
excited for Scream Kills? Like, come
I
on,
if they
let's
did
go.
that, I swear to God, I would die laughing.
I'm genuinely wondering what they're going to call it though, because you can't call it Scream 6 because then people will be like, wait, what? Because you just called the last one. It's going to have to be Scream with some kind of subtitle because you can't use numbers. And what subtitle are you going to use? Scream again? Like, I don't know.
Watch,
But
that'll be it.
I mean, maybe. But yeah, guys, it's doing well at the box office. It's doing well critically. It's
What do you
we're gonna get more.
anticipate? Let's end it with this. What do you anticipate end of box office run being?
So for the Martin Luther King Day weekend, including Monday, they're projecting a haul from 35 to 40. So we're going to probably land 37, 38 right there, which would be the biggest Martin Luther King Day opening weekend of all time and the biggest opening weekend for a Scream movie. Yeah.
I think
Dead
that this
serious.
movie, and I think that this movie might do what the first one did in a smaller scale, where not necessarily do more every weekend, but I think that the trickle down won't be as drastic.
It's
I
got
think
good
the
word
word
of
of
mouth.
mouth, I
Yep.
think the word of mouth is going to get people saying, "Hey, you heard about that? They saying that new Scream movie's
Yes.
good now.
Look
Maybe
at
we got to
Halloween
go see that."
2018. Halloween 2018 was that way. It continued to make money for week after week until after the Halloween season, of course, but the drop off wasn't as drastic as Halloween Kills.
Right.
You know, the word of mouth was nowhere near as good as that one. It had a great opening weekend and then it just kind of like cratered.
Right.
This movie is going to have legs. It's going to for a few weeks it's going to get out some money, but I'm going to say domestic this movie's going to pull in it's going to pull in 75 to 85 million domestically. And I'm going to say internationally, I just don't know how the international markets are with COVID right now. I don't know what countries are open, aren't. I'm going to say, internationally, we'll go with like a number of it's 40 to 50 million. So I'm going to project this movie to do 120, 130 million worldwide. And on a $24 million budget, after this weekend alone, this movie's going to be in the black. It's going to be profitable. So everything else is gravy from that point. But
I can't wait to see where we end up. I'm excited. I wanted to break 100 million at the end of the day. I wanted to break 100 million. I think that'd be so cool.
Christian, the general rule of thumb is 2.5 time multiplier from your opening weekend. So if this movie gets almost 40 million, this Martin Luther King Day weekend, 2.5 time multiplier would be $100 million. Cool. So it's going to be right there. It's going to be right there, but the word of mouth is great. I think it's the best reviewed Scream movie since Scream 2, critically and audience score wise. So it's going to have some legs, guys. So if you haven't seen it, go out and see it, especially, bring whatever you got to bring, stay safe, be smart, of course, whatever. If you don't care, whatever, just go out there, see the movie, support the industry. I'm telling you, Christian's telling you, you're not going to regret it. This is not this is a fun time at the movies.
It really was.
It is.
It really was. All right, guys. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Uneeda Horror Podcast. And hell, I guess we'll see you next time. Y'all have a good night. This has been a production of the You Need a Horror Podcast. You need it, we got it. Thank you for listening.